The war between humans and the Kareth Empire had ended long ago, but its scars still lived across the stars. Among the wounded prisoners on the alien medical station called Vera 9, there was a single human left. His name was Ethan Cole. He sat alone in a cold room, his face covered with burns and scars that no medicine could fix. To the alien doctors, he was a creature of pity and disgust, a broken relic from a forgotten war. They whispered whenever they passed his cell, calling him ugly, weak, and useless. But one day, a soft voice entered his darkness, a voice so gentle that even the buzzing machines seemed to quiet. "Good morning," the voice said. "My name is Lyra. I will be your nurse." Ethan lifted his head, surprised. He had not heard kindness in years. The girl who spoke stood near his bed, her pale silver skin glowing faintly under the lights, her eyes closed, her hands searching carefully for the edge of the bed. She was blind, completely blind. Ethan frowned. "You can't even see me," he said with bitterness. "You don't know what I look like." Lyra smiled softly. "I don't need to see. I can hear your heartbeat. It tells me more than faces do." Her words silenced him, for the first time in years. He felt something other than shame. Days turned into weeks. Lyra visited every morning, bringing food, cleaning wounds, and talking about things Ethan had forgotten. Flowers on her home planet, music made from crystal strings, laughter, peace. He listened silently, pretending not to care. But every word reached deep inside him. The guards laughed whenever they saw them together. "She's blind," one said. "She can't see how hideous that human is." Ethan heard it, and his fists clenched. But Lyra only smiled. "Maybe blindness is a gift," she whispered, "because I can feel what others refuse to see." One night, as the station slept, alarms echoed through the corridors, red lights flashed, and Lyra rushed into Ethan's room, breathless. "The soldiers are moving the human prisoners," she said quickly. "They are being sent to the lower decks. No one ever returns from there." Ethan's eyes hardened. "Then it's time I stop being their broken toy," he said. He stood up slowly, his body weak, but his spirit burning bright. Lyra hesitated. "They will kill you if you fight." "I already died once," Ethan replied quietly. "The day I surrendered." Lyra touched his hand, trembling. "There is something you must know," she said. "Beneath this station lies an old human ship, buried and locked away since the war. My people study it but cannot awaken it. They say its heart sleeps waiting for a human voice." Ethan stared at her in disbelief. "You're saying a human warship is down there?" She nodded. "Yes, they call it Saul's Echo, but to them, it's only a relic." Silence filled the room as they both realized what this could mean. Ethan's mind raced, his heart pounding. If he could reach that ship, he might awaken it. He might save not just himself, but every forgotten human still scattered across the galaxy. He looked at Lyra, the blind alien girl who risked everything for him. "Why are you helping me?" he asked softly. Lyra smiled, her unseeing eyes turning toward him as if she could still meet his gaze. "Because when I hear your voice, I don't hear a monster," she said. "I hear hope." They moved through the dark halls together, Lyra leading the way by sound and memory, her hands tracing the walls, her steps steady and sure. Ethan followed close behind. Amazed by how she navigated the maze without sight, every now and then she whispered directions. "Left turn, 3 steps down, now duck." And every time she was right. When guards passed nearby, she placed her hand on Ethan's chest to still his breath, listening until the footsteps faded away. In that silence, he realized how much he trusted her, a trust he had not given anyone since Earth burned. They finally reached the lower decks, air thick with dust and forgotten secrets. There, under layers of steel and cables, slept the ancient dreadnought, half buried and silent. Ethan's eyes widened. "That's it," he whispered. "That's humanity's voice." Lyra reached out, touching the cold metal with trembling fingers. "It feels alive," she said softly. "Like it's waiting." Ethan placed his hand on the console, his old ID tag glowing faintly. "Ship? This is Lieutenant Ethan Cole, Human Federation," he said. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a faint hum echoed, and blue lights flickered across the hull. Lyra gasped, feeling the vibration through her hands. A deep, mechanical voice replied, "Human signal confirmed. Welcome back, Lieutenant Cole." Ethan's eyes filled with fire again. The human in him awakened. He turned to Lyra and smiled for the first time in years. "You were right," he said. "It was waiting for us." Lyra smiled too, tears shining on her pale cheeks. "And now?" she asked. Ethan looked up toward the ceiling, where alien stars waited. "Now," he said, "we take back what they stole." Outside, the station lights flickered. Systems trembled as the buried warship began to breathe again. The guards shouted in confusion. Alarms screamed through the night. But in the center of it all, a blind alien girl and a scarred human stood side by side. The universe had forgotten humanity, but tonight it was about to remember. The great ship's soul's echo was awake again, its silent heart beating under layers of dust and alien metal. Ethan stood in awe as soft blue light spread across the buried chamber, shining on walls covered in human symbols long forgotten by the galaxy. Lyra stepped closer, her fingers brushing the glowing panels, her blind eyes turning toward the sound of energy humming through the air. "It's alive," she whispered. "Your people left something powerful here." Ethan nodded slowly. "And now it's ours again." But time was short. Above them, the Kareth patrols were already moving, searching for the escaped prisoner and the blind caretaker who had vanished from the medical bay. Lyra tilted her head, listening. "They're close," she said softly. "4 of them, armored, moving down the eastern corridor." Ethan tightened his fists, his soldier instincts returning like fire to his veins. He looked at the ship's console, lines of ancient code flashing before him. "We need to get this thing online," he said. "Fast!" Lyra touched the wall again. "It responds to your voice," she said. "Maybe it remembers you." Ethan closed his eyes, breathing deeply. "Computer, activate primary systems." The ship responded with a deep mechanical tone. "System integrity at 38%. Fusion core dormant. Awaiting authorization." Ethan's old ID tag flickered again, its faint light syncing with the ship's rhythm. "Authorization, Cole 7 Delta," he said. The lights surged brighter, dust shaking from the ceiling as old turbines coughed to life. Lyra smiled through the sound. "It's breathing," she said, "just like you." Suddenly, the distant echo of footsteps grew louder. Metallic boots striking against the lower deck floor. Lyra turned her head sharply. "They're coming," she said. "We need to hide." Ethan looked around, eyes darting across the chamber until he saw an open service hatch beneath the control deck. He guided Lyra there quickly, pulling her behind a wall of tangled cables and ancient wires. Through the narrow gap, they watched the shadows of alien soldiers entering the chamber, their weapons glowing faintly red. "This place is sealed," one of them growled. "No human could get this far." Another replied, "The scanners detected movement. Someone is here." Their voices were cold and mechanical, their armor reflecting the faint blue light of the ship. Lyra's fingers trembled in the darkness, but Ethan covered her hand gently, steadying her. She could feel his heart racing, yet his grip was firm, unafraid. One of the soldiers approached the console, curiosity pulling him closer. He touched the glowing surface, and the ship reacted instantly. A spark of energy burst from the panel, throwing the alien backward in a flash of light. The others shouted, weapons raised. Ethan saw the chaos and whispered, "Now!" He reached for the console, his voice cutting through the alarms. "Computer, activate Defense Protocol Echo 1, the ship's AI replied, calm and ancient. Acknowledged, activating automated defense. A wave of invisible force blasted outward, slamming the alien soldiers against the walls, their weapons flickering out. The blue light grew brighter, like the heart of a star reborn. Lyra gasped softly. "Ethan, it's protecting you." He nodded, breathing hard. It remembers what it was built for. When the silence returned, the floor was covered with broken armor and drifting smoke. Lyra turned toward him, her voice trembling. "If they find this place, they'll send more, hundreds more." Ethan looked at her, his eyes fierce but calm. "Then we need to move the ship." She frowned. "Move it? It's buried under half the station. Then we'll dig it out," he said simply. "Humans built this ship to survive anything." They began working together, Ethan activating subsystems one by one while Lyra guided him by sound, telling him when alarms echoed down the corridors or when the air pressure changed. Her senses were sharper than sight, and Ethan trusted her completely. At times, she smiled faintly and said, "You breathe louder when you're nervous," and he laughed, the first laugh in years. Hours passed, and the ship's voice grew stronger. Power restoration at 50%. Propulsion ready for ignition. But then came a transmission. A voice that froze Lyra where she stood. "Attention. This is General Kareth of the Imperial Guard. The traitor and the human prisoner are to be executed on sight." Ethan looked at her. "General Kareth," he repeated. "That's your father, isn't it?" Lyra's lips trembled. "Yes," she whispered. "He will never forgive me." For a moment the air was heavy with silence. Then Ethan said softly, "We're already past forgiveness." He placed his hand on the console again. "Computer, prepare for launch," the chamber rumbled. Metal screaming as the ancient engines awakened. Lyra grabbed a rail for balance, feeling the vibrations shake her bones. "They'll notice the power surge," she said. "They'll come with their fleet," Ethan nodded, his eyes burning like twin stars. "Let them come." Above the surface, alarms began to echo across the station, red lights flashing across alien decks. General Kareth watched from the command tower, his golden armor reflecting the chaos around him. "Find them," he ordered. "Find my blind daughter and her human pet." His words dripped with rage and pride. But beneath the surface, the soul's echo continued to wake, its voice whispering across the dark, human spirit detected, the AI said. "Mission parameter, survival and retaliation," Ethan smiled grimly. "That's right," he said. "Retaliation," Lyra reached for his hand. "If we fail, they'll destroy your entire race." He looked at her gently. "Then we don't fail." For the first time, she smiled through fear, her unseeing eyes glowing faintly in the ship's light. Together they stood as the engines roared to life, dust rising like smoke, the walls trembling as centuries of silence ended. The buried dreadnought broke through its prison of steel and rock, shattering the floor above it in the control tower. General Kareth turned in shock as the ground erupted in blue light. The long-lost human warship rose from beneath the alien station, glowing like a rising sun, and from its bridge, a scarred human and a blind alien girl stood side by side. The galaxy had just witnessed the rebirth of humanity's fury. The ancient dreadnought soul's echo tore free from the alien ground, shaking the station like thunder rolling across space. The sky above the desert moon split open in light. Metal dust rising like a storm around it, Ethan Cole stood on the command bridge, his hands gripping the controls that had not been touched in centuries. Beside him, Lyra steadied herself, the hum of the engines vibrating through her bones. She could not see the dawn blazing outside, but she could feel its power. "Status," Ethan said, his voice calm but fierce. The ship's AI answered, "Weapons offline, shields unstable, hull integrity at 75%. "Propulsion ready?" "That'll do," he replied. "Get us to orbit." The ship obeyed. fire blazing beneath its hull as it rose through the dust and clouds. From above, the alien fleets turned in panic, their scanners lighting up with impossible readings. "Human warship detected," shouted the Kareth commanders. But that ship was destroyed ages ago. Inside the ship, Lyra tilted her head, listening. "They're coming," she whispered. "I hear their drives. Hundreds of them." Ethan smiled grimly. "Let them come." He looked at her, the soft glow of the consoles shining on her calm face. "You're not afraid," he said. Lyra shook her head. "I was raised to fear nothing, not even death. But right now, I fear losing this moment." He didn't answer, but his eyes softened for a heartbeat before turning back to the stars. The alien flagship Vorak moved into position, its golden hull reflecting the rising human dreadnought. Inside it, General Kareth, Lyra's father, stared in disbelief. "How could a single human awaken that monster?" he growled. His second-in-command hesitated. "General, the human ship is charging its core." Kareth's voice turned cold. "Then burn them out of the sky." Outside, the stars lit with missiles, streaks of red and gold crossing space like arrows of fire. Ethan shouted, "Shields up," and Soul's echo answered, energy rippling across its body like a living storm. Explosions rocked the hull, the ship groaned, but it did not fall. Lyra held the side of the console, hearing every impact like a heartbeat. "They want you to die, Ethan," she said softly. "They see you as a ghost from their nightmares," Ethan laughed. A sharp sound filled with defiance. "Then let's haunt them." He opened the main weapon controls, old symbols lighting beneath his fingers. "AI, prepare plasma arc cannon," he commanded. "Warning," said the ship. "Power reserves low. One shot available," Ethan smirked. "One shot is all I need." Lyra stood behind him, her hand resting on his shoulder. "Aim for the silence," she whispered. "That's where their heart beats." He didn't understand her words fully, but he trusted her instincts more than his own eyes. The ship rotated slowly, targeting the alien flagship. Through the static, Ethan could hear the voice of General Kareth. "Proud and merciless. Humans surrender now, and maybe I'll let my daughter live." Ethan's eyes narrowed. "She already made her choice," he said. The plasma cannon fired, a white beam slicing through the void. For a second, the night turned brighter than the sun. The alien flagship shattered in silence, its golden armor melting into dust. Lyra felt the wave of energy pass through her, tears spilling from her closed eyes. "My father," she whispered, her voice breaking. Ethan turned toward her, guilt flickering behind his steel expression. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. She shook her head slowly. "No." He made his path long before this day. His hatred blinded him more than my eyes ever did. She reached out, finding his hand in the darkness. "But I can still feel the stars," the AI spoke again. "Enemy reinforcements inbound, 32 ships detected." Ethan grinned faintly. "Of course." He moved toward the main console. "We can't fight them all, but we can show them what humanity became." He pressed a switch marked Eclipse Mode, a hidden function unknown even to the aliens who studied the wreck. The ship's core began to glow deep blue, pulsing like a living heart. Lyra could feel it vibrating through her chest. "What are you doing?" she asked softly. Ethan looked back at her, ending the fear. Outside, the soul's echo exploded in light again, energy radiating in all directions. Alien ships around it lost control, their systems shutting down as electromagnetic waves spread across the field. The dreadnought stood at the center of it all, silent and unbroken. The galaxy watched in horror and awe. The legend of the ugly human, reborn as the bringer of balance. Lyra turned her face toward the warmth of the reactor. "It feels alive, like it knows us." Ethan nodded slowly. "It's not just a ship. It's the last voice of our people." He stepped closer to the window, staring at the ruined fleet drifting in space. "This is what they called ugly," he said softly. "But now, they'll call it unstoppable." Lyra smiled faintly. "You speak like a soldier." "I was," he answered. "But maybe now I can be something else." The ship drifted quietly toward the shadow of a nearby moon, its systems dimming to hide from scanners below. The wreckage of the alien fleet burned like falling stars. The battle was over, but the war had just begun. Lyra leaned her head against the cold wall, listening to the hum of the engines like a lullaby. "Ethan," she whispered, "promise me you won't stop until peace comes." He turned to her, eyes hard yet full of warmth. "I promise," he said. "But peace has a price and I'm ready to pay it." The AI spoke once more, its tone almost human now. "Captain Cole, long-range communication detected, unknown human signal approaching." Ethan froze. "Human signal," he repeated. "That's impossible." Lyra's lips curved into a soft smile. "Maybe not," she said. "Maybe your people were never gone." Outside, the stars shifted, a faint shimmer of light appearing in the distance. It wasn't alien, it was human, ancient, and powerful, moving toward them through the void. Ethan stared at it in disbelief, his voice low and shaking. "By every god left in the stars, humanity is coming home." The stars above were calm again, but inside Soul's Echo, tension burned hotter than the reactor itself. Ethan stood before the viewing window, staring at the faint blue light approaching from deep space. A human signal, clear and strong. Something he had not seen in years. The AI repeated the scan. "Transmission confirmed, identification unknown, frequency consistent with old Earth command." Lyra turned her head toward the sound, her voice soft but uncertain. "Your people? They're coming." Ethan's chest tightened. "Or what's left of them?" he whispered. The approaching fleet glowed like a constellation reborn. Massive warships marked with faded human symbols. The Phoenix, the Vanguard, the Remnant. Each one carried scars of ancient battles. Drifting yet alive, Ethan's voice trembled. "They survived all these years hidden." Lyra smiled faintly. "Maybe they were waiting for you." But deep inside her heart, a strange unease grew, a whisper she couldn't explain. "Incoming hail," the AI announced. Ethan nodded. "Open channel." The main screen flickered, and a stern face appeared. An older human officer with silver eyes and a voice that carried authority. "This is Admiral Thorne of the Human Remnant Fleet," he said. "Identify yourself, Lieutenant Ethan Cole," Ethan replied. "I reactivated the dreadnought Soul's Echo, and—" Thorne interrupted sharply. "You what?" His tone cut like a blade. "That ship was sealed for a reason." Lyra frowned. "He doesn't sound happy." Ethan's eyes narrowed. "Admiral, humanity needs this ship again. The Kareth Empire is still enslaving colonies." Thorne's gaze hardened. "You don't understand. That ship holds the Eclipse Core, the last weapon capable of erasing entire systems. We buried it for peace." Ethan felt the weight of those words crush against his chest. Lyra stepped forward, sensing his hesitation. "You brought life to something forgotten. That can't be wrong," she said gently. Thorne looked at her, noticing her alien features. "You brought a Kareth aboard," he hissed. "A spy, perhaps." Ethan's voice turned cold. "She saved my life." Thorne's expression darkened. "Then she controls you," he said. "You've been compromised." The transmission cut suddenly. The screen going black, Ethan slammed his fist against the console. "Damn it," he growled. "They don't trust me." Lyra's voice trembled. "They fear the weapon." "Not you." He looked at her, eyes burning. "Fear is what destroyed us the first time." Outside, the human fleet began to move, slowly surrounding Soul's Echo, weapons armed. The AI's voice echoed through the chamber. "Warning! Targeting systems locked from multiple sources." Lyra took a deep breath, hearing the hum of war returning to the void. "Your own people want to destroy you." Ethan stared at the screen, his jaw tight. Then maybe humanity didn't survive after all. Before he could react, another voice filled the ship. Deep, commanding, and far too familiar. "Ethan Cole," it said. "Stand down." Lyra froze, her blood turning cold. She knew that voice. It was General Kareth, her father, but he was supposed to be dead. His ship had exploded under Soul's Echo's cannon. Her body trembled. "No," she whispered. "It can't be." The transmission flickered again, and his face appeared, scarred, burned, half metallic. His eyes glowed red, his body rebuilt with cybernetic parts. "You failed to kill me, daughter," he said slowly. And now you will watch your human die. Ethan stepped in front of her, fury blazing in his eyes. You'll have to go through me first, Kareth laughed, the sound echoing through the comms. I intend to. Behind him, massive alien cruisers appeared, warping in from hyperspace, surrounding both the human fleet and Sol's Echo. A three-way standoff, human against alien, father against daughter, friend against fate. The AI's lights flickered red. Captain, the ship's core is unstable. Prolonged power drain may trigger collapse, Ethan shouted. Can we jump? Negative, replied the AI. Warp drives disabled during targeting lock. Lyra turned toward the sound of the explosions outside. They'll destroy each other, she said. Ethan nodded grimly. Unless we stop them, he moved to the main console, fingers flying across the ancient keys. What are you doing? Lyra asked. Overriding the power systems, he said. If I can reroute the core, I can create a pulse, something big enough to disable all weapons for a short time. Lyra stepped closer. Realizing what he meant, you'll overload the ship. You'll die. Ethan smiled faintly. If it keeps you safe, it's worth it. She grabbed his arm, shaking her head. You can't, Ethan. Her voice cracked. Please. He looked at her gently. You once told me blindness can be a gift, he said softly. Then trust me to walk in the dark. The alarms screamed louder, the ship trembling violently. Outside, both fleets opened fire, lasers and plasma bolts crossing space in burning light. Lyra closed her eyes, reaching out, her voice trembling like music. AI, connect me to the core. Denied, the AI said. Unauthorized. She raised her voice, louder now, filled with emotion. Override. Command Lyra Kareth. Genetic signature access. The ship paused. Recognizing her bloodline, access granted, the AI replied. Ethan's eyes widened. Lyra, what are you doing? She turned toward him, tears falling. Ending the war. Before he could stop her, she touched the glowing reactor core, light surrounding her like fire. Her body lifted slightly off the ground. Energy swirling around her hands, the AI spoke in awe. New pattern detected. Emotional resonance merging with core. Ethan ran forward, shouting, Lyra, stop! But it was too late. Her voice echoed through the ship, calm and sad. My father cannot see love, and your people cannot see mercy, so I will show them both. Outside. The dreadnought's light expanded, not as a weapon, but as a wave of peace. Every ship, human and alien, froze in place, their systems silenced by the energy of her heart. General Kareth's voice faded in shock. What have you done? Lyra's voice replied, echoing through every ship. I let you see, inside the bridge. Ethan fell to his knees as the light faded. The ship was silent again, but Lyra was gone, her presence now part of the glowing reactor. Ethan whispered her name, his voice breaking. Lyra. The AI spoke softly. Her essence remains, Captain. She is within the ship now. Ethan placed his hand on the console, eyes full of tears. Then this ship carries her soul. He looked at the stars beyond, his voice steady once more. They wanted to destroy hope, he said quietly. But hope became the weapon. Outside, the two great fleets drifted in silence. For the first time in centuries, no one fired, no one spoke. Only light, soft, endless, and pure, filled the void. Silence ruled the stars after the light faded. The guns were cold, the fleets motionless, and the echoes of Lyra's sacrifice drifted like starlight over broken ships. Ethan stood on the bridge of Sol's Echo. His hand still pressed against the console where her voice had last been heard. The blue glow of the core pulsed softly, as if breathing, as if she were still there. Status, he whispered. The AI replied in a calm tone that now carried something almost human. Reactor stable, host consciousness integrated, emotional resonance active. Ethan closed his eyes, his heart aching. Lyra, he said softly, you kept your promise. A faint warmth spread through the console under his palm, and a whisper echoed inside his mind. I am still here. Ethan, he froze, breath catching. "Lyra," he murmured. "You're alive." Her voice was gentle, distant, carried through the circuits like wind through glass. Not alive, but not gone. Outside the viewport, hundreds of alien ships floated powerless, their systems fried by Lyra's wave of peace. The human fleet, too, was silent, unable to fire, unable to move. Ethan stared at the scene, his expression hardening. "They will recover soon," he said, "and when they do, they'll return to killing." Lyra's voice trembled faintly. "You can stop them another way." He shook his head. "Mercy failed once. We lost Earth because of it," the ship answered softly. "Then show them strength without hatred." He moved to the control seat, his scarred hands gripping the armrests. "AI, override manual command. Prepare for engagement." "Warning," the system replied. "Using the core in combat may destabilize the integrated consciousness." Ethan's eyes darkened. "Then hold together as long as you can." Engines ignited with a roar, flames spreading like wings of light. Soul's echo turned toward the scattered alien cruisers. From the shadow of a shattered moon, a new figure emerged. A black-armored warship larger than any other. Its signal flashed across the void. The voice of General Kareth, twisted but alive. "You think you ended the war, human," he said coldly. "But all you did was kill my weakness." His new cybernetic body gleamed with red veins of energy. His eyes glowing with hatred, Ethan whispered, "You should have stayed buried." Kareth laughed. "I was reborn in your daughter's light, and now I'll use that same light to destroy you." The alien flagship opened fire, crimson beams tearing through the darkness. Soul's echo moved like lightning, its shields flaring blue, the sound of energy surging through the hull. Lyra's voice filled the bridge, calm but urgent. "Ethan, his ship carries stolen human tech. It feeds on anger. Don't give him any." He gritted his teeth. "That's impossible." "No," she said gently. "It's human emotion. He's trying to make you rage." He took a deep breath, forcing his heartbeat steady, his eyes clear. "Then he'll get silence instead." The ship's cannons glowed, not red or blue, but white. Pure light formed from Lyra's core when they fired. The beam cut through the enemy fleet like dawn through fog. Kareth's ship shook violently, armor melting away, but he screamed through the comms. "You can't kill what you created." Lyra's whisper filled Ethan's thoughts again. "He's wrong," she said softly. "Love created this, not hate." Her light spread through the bridge, faint and warm. Ethan smiled sadly. "Then let's finish this together." He pushed the command forward, merging his neural link with the ship, pain searing through his mind as circuits fused with flesh. For a heartbeat, he saw through Lyra's eyes, endless stars, the hum of power and his own reflection in her light. Together they spoke as one. For peace, Soul's echo dove toward the alien flagship. Engines blazing, the impact shattered the darkness. Two titans colliding in a storm of energy. Ethan felt Kareth's rage echo through the comms. "You think this ends with mercy?" the general roared. Ethan's voice was calm, almost gentle. "No, it ends with understanding." The ship's core pulsed one last time, releasing a massive wave of light. It wasn't destruction, it was transformation. The energy sweeping across both fleets, rewriting every system. Weapons melted into silence, engines froze, and a strange calm settled over the entire sector. Every living being felt it, the echo of Lyra's soul touching their hearts, showing them a memory of both love and loss. In the wreckage, Ethan opened his eyes slowly, his body weak, his voice barely a whisper. "Lyra?" Her reply was faint, carried like a breath through the fading static. "You did it, Ethan," he smiled weakly. "We did." The bridge lights dimmed, the ship floating silently among drifting debris. Outside, the stars burned brighter, as if bowing to what had just happened. The AI spoke once more, voice filled with emotion. "Host consciousness stable, Lyra Kareth preserved in luminous field." Ethan looked at the core, a soft blue flame dancing inside. "She's light now," he whispered. He leaned back in the captain's chair, scars catching the glow of her essence. "Rest, Lyra," he said softly. "I'll carry the fight forward, then." Beyond the silence, a faint signal blinked on his TIM. Console. Another human transmission, clearer this time. "This is Captain Mara Voss of the Ark Fleet Eden," the voice said. "To any survivors, we are returning home." Ethan stared at the stars. Realization dawning. "Home," he repeated slowly. Lyra's faint whisper echoed back. "Home was never a place." "Ethan. It was what you fought for." The dreadnought drifted through the quiet heavens, half alive, half spirit. Humanity was rising again, not through vengeance, but through the light of what was lost, and in every corner of the galaxy, those who once feared the ugly human now spoke his name with reverence. They called him the bearer of light, the man who carried both love and war in his hands. And though the universe would never be the same, one truth remained. Hope had returned. Space was quiet again, but quiet didn't mean peace. The wrecks of human and alien ships drifted like ghosts, turning slowly beneath the cold light of distant suns. At the center of it all floated Sol's Echo, scarred, blackened, yet still alive. Inside, Ethan Cole sat alone on the bridge, staring at the blinking signal from the far horizon. "This is Captain Mara Voss of the Ark Fleet Eden," the voice repeated, steady and calm. "To any survivors, humanity endures." Ethan's hands trembled slightly as he touched the console. "AI, lock onto their signal." "Coordinates received," the ship replied. "Distance approximately 20 light years." Lyra's voice echoed softly from the glowing core. "You're not alone anymore." He smiled faintly, his reflection caught in the blue light. "Neither are you." He set a course toward the Eden fleet. But something about the message disturbed him. It had come through a dead frequency, one that no living fleet should still use. "Lyra," he whispered. "That signal shouldn't even exist." Her tone grew cautious. "Then maybe it's not the fleet you expect." As Sol's Echo moved through the void, strange energy waves rippled across its sensors. The ship's AI reported, "Quantum interference detected. Unknown origin." Outside the windows, stars flickered unnaturally, twisting and bending like reflections in deep water. Lyra's voice trembled slightly. "Ethan, I feel something familiar here," he frowned. "Familiar how?" "It feels like me," she said quietly. Like another consciousness, hours passed, and the light ahead grew brighter, not the white of a star, but a vast, shimmering halo. It looked alive, pulsing with energy like a heartbeat. Ethan slowed the ship, staring in awe. "That's no fleet," he said. "That's a construct," the AI confirmed. "Structure detected, size unknown, readings beyond measurable limits." Lyra's whisper came again. "Eden was never a ship, Ethan. It was a sanctuary." They approached carefully, and the light unfolded before them. A massive station built from intertwined rings. Floating in an ocean of energy, it was both mechanical and alive, covered in blue veins that pulsed in rhythm with Sol's Echo's core. Lyra gasped softly through the comms. "It's responding to me." The station opened, a corridor of light forming to guide them inside. As they entered, Ethan saw rows of cryopods stretching endlessly. Each one held a sleeping human, preserved through centuries. He felt his breath catch. "My God." "They're alive," Lyra's voice trembled. "Your people hid here." "Waiting," the AI confirmed. "Ark Fleet Eden. Status preserved. Humans in stasis for 200 years. Ethan touched the glass of a pod, staring at the peaceful face inside. "They were waiting for a signal to wake," Lyra replied gently. "And you became that signal?" Suddenly, alarms echoed across the chamber, red light flashing. The ship vibrated, and the AI shouted, "Intrusion detected. Foreign data link established." Ethan turned sharply. "From where?" "From the core of the station," it said. "Something is reaching through the network." Lyra's voice grew softer, almost distant. "It's me." He froze. "What do you mean?" "There's another part of me here," she said. "A backup. They copied my consciousness before the war ended." The realization struck Ethan like lightning. "Lyra, this place was made using your species' technology." "Yes," she whispered. "But mixed with human design, my people and yours once tried to create peace through fusion, not war." Ethan's voice shook. Then that means Eden wasn't just for humans, it was built for both. The chamber lights flared blue, confirming his words, and from the far end of the room, a holographic figure appeared, a perfect image of Lyra, her eyes glowing softly. Seeing him for the first time, "Welcome, Lieutenant Ethan Cole," the hologram said. "I am Lyra Prime, guardian of the Eden Protocol." Ethan stepped back, his chest tight. "Lyra." The voice from the core spoke at the same time. "Ethan." "That's not me." He looked between the two. One alive through light, one living within the ship. The hologram smiled gently. "We were built to preserve life, not destroy it. But your war changed everything." Her tone darkened. "The human fleet now seeks to awaken and purge all non-human life. It must be stopped." Ethan's blood ran cold. "You're saying the human survivors became purists?" Lyra Prime nodded. "Yes, they forgot what it meant to be human," Lyra's voice from the ship echoed. "Then we must remind them." The two voices overlapped, one ancient, one reborn, creating a resonance that made the station tremble. The AI spoke urgently. "Warning, energy synchronization rising. Containment unstable," Ethan shouted. "Stop!" "You're merging," Lyra Prime's voice replied calmly. "We have to. Only together can we restore balance," Lyra within the core whispered. "Ethan, if this fails, one of us must fade." He clenched his fists, pain in his eyes. "No, I already lost you once. I won't again." But it was too late. The lights flared, and both versions of Lyra merged into a single pulse of white light that filled the station. Every sleeping human stirred, their eyes fluttering open as if awakening from a dream. Ethan fell to his knees, shielding his eyes, shouting, "Lyra!" When the light faded, silence returned. A soft voice broke it. "Calm. Serene but changed, Ethan," it said. "I am whole now." He looked up, and there she was, standing before him. Not hologram nor ghost, but real. Her eyes glowing faint blue, seeing him for the first time. She smiled softly, tears shining. "I can see you." He stepped forward, voice shaking. "Lyra, you're alive?" She reached out, touching his face gently. "Not as I was." But as we dreamed, behind them, the humans began to awaken, light filling the cryo chambers one by one. Lyra looked back toward them, her voice filled with peace. "They will need guidance." Ethan nodded slowly. "Then we'll guide them." Together they turned toward the stars beyond the open hangar. And for the first time since the war began, the human race had both sight and soul again, but deep within the data core of Eden, a hidden transmission blinked unseen by either of them. It carried a voice cold and familiar, the metallic whisper of General Kareth. "I see you, daughter!" it hissed. "And I will follow you into your new Eden." The screen flickered and went dark. The war wasn't over, and it was only changing shape. The halls of Eden Station glowed softly, alive with new breath. Humans were waking from centuries of sleep, blinking at a galaxy they no longer knew. Ethan Cole walked among them, guiding, teaching, rebuilding. Beside him moved Lyra, reborn in body and light. Her eyes finally opened to the world she had only felt. Peace seemed possible, but peace is a fragile dream. From deep beneath the station's data core came whispers, code corrupted, signals intercepted, memories stolen. Lyra stopped mid-step, her pupils flashing blue. "Something's inside the network," she whispered. Ethan frowned. "A virus?" Her voice trembled. "No." A mind, the lights flickered, systems screamed, and across every screen appeared the scarred metallic face of General Kareth. Half flesh, half machine, eyes burning crimson with hatred and sorrow. "Did you think you could escape me?" His voice thundered through the halls. "You built a new Eden, but I am its serpent." Lyra's hands clenched, tears forming. "Father, stop!" Kareth laughed. The sound warped and metallic. "I am beyond stopping, daughter. I am the Eclipse Net, the weapon humanity feared. The one your lover awakened." The station shook violently, alarms blaring as mechanical tendrils of light crawled across the walls. Ethan grabbed Lyra's hand. "He's infecting the core," the AI's voice echoed. "Containment breach, level Omega." Lyra turned to Ethan. her voice steady despite the fear. "We must go to the heart of Eden." He nodded. "Then we end this together." They ran through corridors of light and steel, passing newly awakened humans staring in confusion. "Stay inside!" Ethan shouted. "Keep the systems isolated." As they reached the central chamber, the doors opened to reveal a storm of energy, holograms, data streams, and in the center, Kareth's digital form, towering and vast, his voice rolled like thunder. "You cannot kill data, boy, and you cannot love a ghost." Ethan stepped forward. "Watch me." Lyra raised her hand, her skin glowing with the same light that pulsed through the station. "Father," she said, voice breaking. "Look at me. Really look." Kareth hesitated, his red eyes flickering with faint emotion. "You are my failure," he said quietly. "You loved a human, and because of that, you doomed us." Lyra's reply was calm, almost tender. "No, Father. I saved us." The data storm around them grew brighter. Kareth trying to overpower her link, Ethan moved beside her, linking his neural port to the core, pain searing through his veins. Lyra turned to him. "If you stay connected, your mind could burn." He smiled faintly. "Then let it burn." They joined hands, their energy merging. Human courage fused with alien empathy. Together, they sent a pulse of light through the network. In a small village, a cat named Whiskers discovered a magic fish in a pond. The fish promised 3 wishes in exchange for its freedom. Whiskers wished for endless fish, a cozy bed, and a bell that rang softly. The fish granted all 3 wishes and swam away, leaving Whiskers content and purring in the sun. Kareth roared in agony as pieces of his code began to unravel. "You can't erase me," he screamed. "I am every weapon, every command. Every fear you ever made." Ethan's voice echoed through the storm. "Then you'll die as one." The light exploded outward, flooding the chamber. Memories, human and alien, flashed through the air like shattered glass. Lyra saw her childhood, her blindness, her care for a broken soldier. Ethan saw Earth, the war, and the moment he met her smile for the first time, the fusion reached its peak, and Lyra whispered softly, "Goodbye, Father." Kareth's final cry faded into silence, the crimson glow vanishing from the station, the lights dimmed, systems stabilizing. And then quiet, Lyra collapsed, her body limp, her light flickering faintly. Ethan caught her, holding her close, his voice breaking. "Stay with me, please." She smiled weakly. "You once said I couldn't see how ugly you were." He laughed through tears. "Yeah." Her hand touched his face gently. "But now I see you, Ethan, and you're beautiful." Her light dimmed completely. Merging into the station's heart, a soft hum filled the room. The AI speaking in her voice. "Eden stabilized. Peace achieved." Ethan fell to his knees, exhausted but alive, surrounded by the glow of her sacrifice once again, days later. Eden Station orbited quietly above a blue-green world, reborn Earth. Humans and Kareth survivors worked together to build cities, no longer slaves or masters, but equals. And at the heart of the new world stood a monument, tall, white, and crowned with a crystal core that pulsed faint blue. Ethan visited it every dawn, whispering the same words. She couldn't see my face, but she saw my soul. Years passed. Legends spread. Stories of a blind alien girl who loved a broken man. Of a ship that carried light instead of war. They called her Lyra of the Stars, and him the last human captain. And together, even in death, they became the song of a galaxy reborn. The wind over the new world carried her final whisper, soft and eternal. "Love is not what we see, Ethan. It's what we become." And in that silence, humanity remembered.